I would like to call the December 22nd meeting of the Diversity, Racial Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'll call that meeting to order. As first order of business, we want to accept the minutes. Did everyone receive the minutes from the December 15th meeting? Have an opportunity to review them. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a couple of small edits, if I might.
Sure.
On page 2, right above the logo and tagline, I just add the word "be" between the following agenda items will be tabled until next week. And then also it said next meeting, it said no meeting on December 22nd. So I changed that to December 29th.
Yeah.
So those are the only two edits that I made to the minutes. And if that meets with everybody's approval, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second to that motion?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Next. All right, great.
Okay. Phil, could I make a motion that we move the discussion about Black History Month planning to above the additional questions for Chief Spinney, just given the time frame?
Absolutely, please do. I'll accept that motion. A second to the motion?
This is Jennifer. I'll second that.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Everybody in favor of taking the Black History Month planning out of order?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
Oh, is Carly?
That's Carly. Yeah, hi, Carly.
Hi, sorry about that. I had a little computer problem.
All right.
And Charisse is not logged on here yet either. Did anybody hear from Charisse?
Yeah, she was one of the ones that was concerned about making sure we had some conversation earlier in the meeting regarding the planning for Black History Month. As we wait for her to join us, I did have an opportunity to speak with Maria Palacio. Maria Palacio is the new assistant director of the Chelmsford Public Library. She just joined. I don't think she's been in her role a full week yet, but we did have an opportunity to connect. I wanted to introduce myself to her, let her know about our committee, and also talk to her just in general about our desire to work as closely as we could with the Chelmsford Public Library and to partner with them on a number of different, activities, especially, simply put, in any activities and efforts that makes sense for us to work together on. So, and she seems very, very open to doing that. She had indicated that the library was in the process at this point of firming up their agendas, if you will, for events during Black History Month. They have a few things that are lined up at this point. They're continuing to pull some things together. So she will keep me posted on their progress. And I believe that there'll be a link that will bring us to all of their activities once they're posted. I know about some of them. They're not all posted at this point, so I don't have a link to share, but as soon as I get that, Tricia, I'll get that to you and we can put that on our website. She had indicated that there are actually, as part of just the general work that the library does, there are a number of library book groups that they have. One is the Social Justice Library Book Group, and they will be sponsoring a number of conversations around books, not just during Black History Month, but through the entire year on a number of different titles or items under the idea of diversity. So that'll be something that we can certainly kind of keep track of. Told her that as we get, if they share that information with us, we can make sure that either we make sure that the links are there, we can be sharing that information. But it's good to know that there's another organization in town that's seriously interested in furthering, diversity and related issues. And they are absolutely, on board with that. They have a number of things that are going on. Even in their arts area, as well as just the book groups and speakers coming in. So as we get more information on that, I'll be sharing that. But I did want to let folks know that I did reach out and make that contact, and told her that I could be her contact going forward. She wants to be the contact for the library, and I believe that she's probably going to end up with the role of outreach person, if you will, for the library going forward. So I think that's that's going to be part of her direct responsibility. So I wanted to share that with folks.
Excuse me, Phil, what did you say her title is now?
I believe her title is Assistant Director of the Chelmsford Public Library.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, so she's Becky Herman's assistant, if you will.
And Sharice did log in while you were talking about that, Bill? Yes, she did. So she might not know that we took this out of order. So.
Oh, after
Hi,
all of that, right? Hi. I'm having problem with my connection. I don't know what's happening, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for allowing me this opportunity. I know this is a collective effort for all of us, but I thought just to get the ball rolling, to kind of have some type of format or understanding, just so that we can have a conversation around Black History Month and what it could look like. And I'm hopefully, after looking at the proposed ideas that I had, that you will be able to, you've been able to come up with some thoughts and ideas of your own. And so the way I see all of this, I don't know if you all looked at the Word document I sent over, but what I was thinking, that each day of that month of February, we could highlight these areas of activism. I had it categorized in four weeks breakdown, like activism, activities. Activism, activist, politics. The second one is science, medical. Third is authors, artists, and the fourth week would be inventors, educators. And I thought it was for all of us to be involved, because I think this is a collective effort, and I think we can all learn in this area. And so what I was proposing is that each person, 28 days in February, we all take maybe 2 people within that week, and each day of that week, say for example, February 1st, I excluded, I think we still can put things up for the weekend. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but during the week, at least each day, like February, I'm not looking at my calendar, but February 1st, for example, we could put up something about, the Black Lives Matter movement, the founders of that, or, Frederick Douglass, if we start off the week with activism. And then each day, the second, whoever has responsibility for those artists or those people within that week, they would post their reading or information about that person. And it would give them an opportunity to do some research. And what we could do, if it would help, maybe provide the names, and then we have a format so we're all consistent on what we're looking for. So I'll stop there and just get your thoughts on that.
So, Sharice, when you were talking about posting it, what I guess I'm trying to get like a clear sense of what the actual posting of that means. That we would actually go up and write up the information on that particular in that particular individual, or the event or whatever, and we would be actually putting that on our website. I guess I'm trying to get clarity on exactly what we'd be doing.
Yes, we have a calendar of events, Black History Month. So within the DREI website, we could have each day of the week, like the calendar that Trisha put out for diversity, the diversity calendar. Every day there's something on it. So that week we would just highlight various you know, Black contributors for that week, or that, each, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mhm. Are you also thinking we would push that out like via social media, like Facebook and Instagram and stuff each day?
Yes, we could do that as well. I mean, these are just, something I just put down as a thought, because I think, as I know in our church, what we do is each Sunday we would highlight different, um, Black artists or contributors, depending on what the focus was for, what our theme was for that whole month. But this was just some ideas I thought that we can continue, like, so people can see that each day there's something new, information coming about. And at the beginning of that week, I know Latasha talked about speakers, um, and so, then we had to think about platforms. And the best platform actually would be something that may be pre-recorded or Zoom. With speakers, it may be able to be live, and that would look very different. But I don't want to get away from the calendar idea first. And I didn't know what your thoughts were as to just being able to put something forward for people to engage in, to read about, and to learn.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I guess what I'm struggling with is kind of what it looks like. And maybe when you were saying, format, like creating a format that we could all kind of fill in to make sure, like you were saying, we're capturing all the, the right, similar information, if you will, in a
Exactly.
similar way. And then once we have it, it's just a matter of kind of uploading that to the calendar, I guess is what.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So,
Again, I'm sorry. I struggle a little bit sometimes because I'm not as technologically savvy as some others. So
No,
I'm not
that's
trying to be
okay.
difficult. I'm just trying to understand it.
Sharice,
I'm listening.
oh, you disappeared. There you are.
I
I love,
can't see anybody. I don't know why everybody shut off. I can just see your names, but that's
oh,
okay.
okay. We can see you. But I love the idea. I think this is great. I'm just wondering how we can either share this with the schools or supplement anything that they may be doing around Black History Month at the schools. I think this sounds like a great idea, and I don't know how active people are going to be to go to our website or go anywhere to look up this information. But I would love to see it get to the schools somehow. Did you give any thought to that, or?
No, that's why I brought it to the board, I mean, to the committee, just to kind of brainstorm. This is why it's good to have these conversations now, so we can start talking about it, and what does this look like? And I was thinking of it more so, so that, and that information can go out on different, whether it's on our website, on the town's website, across the schools, but at least the information would be there, and
Right.
it won't have to be duplicated, because once we put it out there. And I mean, if you want to put it out there for the week, you can do that as well, as opposed to each day. However, you want the format wants to be. But I thought, it would maybe draw interest if you just put it out there as the day progress, each day came about.
Okay, great.
And this is just this area, and this is like low hang fruit, because it's just information we can start working on it now, right? And start uh, being ready, so when February 1st comes, whoever has, like, let's just say, um, Dr. Nathan Hale, whoever has that person, they would have already done their research, they've already written their information up, the format has already been laid out as to how it's supposed to look, what information we're looking for, so that we're all kind of uniformed, and we're just not out there just gathering information. And we can also have, if people need ideas of list of names and things like that, I'm sure we can help with that. But I think it's good for us to, if we want to be fishers, how do they say fishermen? We have to, if you want to eat for a day, you show them how, but if you want to, you teach them how. So I think it's just good that, um, somebody has their hand raised up.
I think
Raised.
Latasha,
Yes, Sis Latasha, I have my hand raised. I was just gonna say I like the idea a lot. I would prefer to do maybe 5 days the week. That way it can be shared with schools, businesses.
Mhm.
I would like for us to actually gather the information and have it fact checked by someone else on the team, so
Mhm.
that we give an accurate information to the public. And
Mhm.
if we do that by late January, that way we're all set for the month of February. Although it would be nice to do it on a daily basis, I think giving it in a whole week is probably better just because of,
Yes.
you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
anything can
And
happen.
things can, yeah, right. I agree with
Yeah.
that, Latasha. I like that.
I think daily's a little on the ambitious side, but I think if we can do something on a weekly basis, that might work better.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Would there be any sort of programming schedule we might be able to work out with Chelmsford TV?
Yeah, and I think Natasha talked about speakers, and I know I've been there's there's a beautiful group called Castle of Our Skins, and they're a quartet, they a stringed quartet, and they do amazing work within the Boston community. I know my daughter has worked with them, and they put on excellent presentations. And I know right now, they're in there kind of looking for donations phase, that type of thing. But I thought, to reach out to them and have a conversation with the director. And they do everything from, I mean, if you talk about Black history and knowing the history of just culturally, they do a lot of cultural activities, and they're beautiful. And to hear, they play the violin, the cello, so they could actually perform. I haven't reached out to them as of yet because I wanted to have this conversation first before we go forward. But they're an excellent, if you go to their website, I would highly recommend you go just look at them, and they may be willing to do something for Black History Month, as well as I know I showed Trisha the video of Boston University. My daughter belonged to the Boston University Inner Strength Gospel Choir, and they did, and this was prior to COVID, and so they literally were working. Herb, the director, brought everybody together as an alum in their respective places, from Texas to all the way on the other side of to the east, just various places, and they were actually harmonizing from each of their homes, and put together, one of their signature pieces that they sing when they were at Boston University. And Herb has given us permission, whether we put it on our website and kick our Black History Month off, however we want to do that, that's up to us. But he's given us permission to use that video. I mean, I know it's on YouTube anyway, but he's given it, thumbs up for us to do whatever we want as far as displaying it. Now, Trisha, you saw it, so maybe you can speak to what you thought about it. And I see your hand raised too.
Yeah, I thought he had a really powerful message. I have to, I saw it as soon as you sent it, but again, a lot's happened between now and then, so it's been a week since I've seen it. But I thought it was a great link to have. The reason I had my hand up was because the calendar per se, right now it's a static calendar that's up there, but I just created one that we can build. And if somebody gives me links to things, I can put it on there every single day. I mean, I can go ahead and pre-build this calendar, and then we can put links up right away. I mean, I think it's whatever you guys believe is what we want to put out to the public we should do. I'm no expert on what the best messages or the order of the messages that we send out. I love the idea of having the different themes for each week. I was curious, though, how the group felt about the order of the themes. Did anybody have any particular thoughts about, do we start with activism or do we end with activism? Do we, I mean, I didn't know if there was any rhyme or reason as to.
Yeah.
Right.
It was no rhyme or reason. It was my brain just throwing down things like, what areas of opportunity and different contributors could we talk about, and there might be some other areas, and some of them cross over. Some of the, the people that we may be reaching, some of them cross over in different areas. So I just put them down as groundwork, just to have a conversation. There's no order in per se that I was thinking about, but I like your idea, Tricia, to have all this information and then end with activism in that area. I like that.
Yeah. That might be a way to go. That'd be the way to go. Because and I think there's so much. I mean, truth be told, we could take one of those areas and do a whole month on one of them. When you talk about like the STEM area and the inventors, any of those things, you could really spend some time to kind of educate people around that. So yeah, I think that that makes sense, and maybe we can shuffle the order and perhaps have it, the activism at the end. I think that'd be fine to do.
Yeah.
So the next step should probably be for the people that are in the cultural group to set up a meeting, maybe, I don't know, sometime after Christmas, and just talk about the different links that Teresa's supplied, the speakers that Latasha's doing. We do have that money from the Lowell 5-cent savings bank that they want to see go towards the Black History Month and whatever else we might want to do, and set up the calendar the way we'd like to see it, and then how we're going to push it out. I mean, the calendar itself, I'm the only one that could probably, because it's built into the website. So that's why if we can build it in advance and then push the messages out every day, I could do an everyday thing, push it out through social media and the town website, featuring it on the homepage, things like that. But I think we just need to sit down and look at the February calendar and say, okay, what do we want to do and how do we want to lay it out, and then get those people lined up. And so if there's any time that anybody who's on the cultural group wants to meet, I'm flexible. So let me know.
Sounds good. Margaret, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I apologize. I'm having trouble accessing that document, and I'm just wondering if there's anything on it about just sort of a general Black history, like American Black history presentation or something to orient people at the beginning of the month as to why this is so important.
Yeah, this is kind of a basic overview sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, the history of how it came about. And there's definitely information on that. I think that's a great way to kick it off and just kind of.
I've been in so many diversity or like racism courses where they start with that, and most of the white participants are so surprised by so much of it because it's not taught in school,
right?
That I think it's important, with Chelmsford being 88% white, that we educate. I think that's a huge part of something that would be helpful for that month.
I agree.
I love that idea.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Well,
I don't know format. Sorry, Brian. I don't know like how to format it, but I mean, I'd be willing to figure it out.
So I'm unable to raise my hand in Teams, so I'm sorry that I keep interrupting people. The one thing I just wanted to sort of piggyback on, Margaret, your last statement, is one thing I think we need to make sure we spend some time thinking about is who is our audience for all of this content that we're going to put out there, and how are we going to reach them? And I'll welcome somebody else having an opinion on this.
I mean, I think our audience
on that
is.
Sheet, go ahead. I think,
Hi, this
Jennifer,
is Jen.
you were
I'm
trying
not.
to say something?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. I think our audience is everyone.
Okay, then how do we get them to come to view all of this content that we're putting out then? That's the sticky wicket here.
Publicity is
have an
always
answer for that.
difficult. Publicity is always difficult. I mean, the only thing I can say, Brian, is that at least through our website, we're always pointing people back to the town website from all of the Chelmsford social media pages. And I mean, there is the Wicked Local, Margaret from Wicked Local. We can let her know what we're doing, and she can put it out in the Chelmsford Independent. And maybe, like I said, the Chelmsford Telemedia, we can get that schedule up with them and working with the library. Those kind of things will help too. But the website is really the only, pushing through our website to social media is really the only thing that we can really do, because there's not a lot of, you can't do any direct mail pieces. We don't have funding for that. We don't have our own Facebook page yet. That might be something we want to talk about at some point in time. But right now we have our town website, we have our news flash items, we have our calendar that we'll build, and then we have the other social media pages in Chelmsford that we can push them out to, and then Chelmsford Independent. That's all I have.
Right. And I think the more we start to, direct people, drive people to that source. I mean, because right now people don't go there for a whole bunch of reasons. Maybe they don't know it's there. They don't know, why it's important. They don't know that may not even know we have a presence there. But if we see that as our primary way, at least at this point in time, maybe things change. But for now, we're kind of in the here and now, directing people every opportunity we have to. You need to go to the website. You need to go to our page on the town website. We need to keep pushing people there, and we can start to get people used to going there. At least again, as a place to start, because right now they don't go anywhere. So.
And again, Phil, the one more thing, I know there's other people with their hands up, and I'm sorry to interject, but I just wanted to remind everybody that, plus on January 25th, we're going to be presenting and having our kickoff, per se, with the Board of Selectmen. So that's another thing that went during that presentation. Phil as presenter, whoever can say we're kicking off Black History Month and the pledge and the proclamation and all of that stuff. So you'll have an opportunity during that update to the Board of Selectmen to do that as well.
Yep. Margaret, is your hand still up? I still see your hand up. Oh, Lauren.
It's supposed to be, but I actually have a question.
Okay.
For Tricia. Is there any restrictions on the type of links? Like, can we send you YouTube links, things like that, you can, any restrictions on what you can link to on the, okay.
Nope.
Thanks.
Ms. Cochran had her hand up.
Sherry, I feel like Margaret, you were talking about a document you sent, and I cannot for the life of me find it. You were referring to the February calendar for Black History Month. Am I missing something about inventors and?
I have it. I was going to attach it to the smart sheet for you guys.
Okay, because I never saw it. So you guys were talking on it, and I felt so stupid that I just had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah, it's the smart sheet was what I was saying. I was having trouble.
Oh, okay. All right.
On my end. All
right. So let me go on. Oh, that's great. All right. Thank you. That's all. I wanted to know where I could find it. I'll put my hand down again.
Rachel?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, with us pushing this much content and doing this much on the website, I think it really raises the priority of having our own social media accounts for the committee. Because we gotta reach out and start getting like, people are inherently or lazy or don't know about content until you really draw them in. And so I think if we're going to be doing like daily stuff or weekly, we got to be adding that and then getting our friends and our people and our groups to repost, retweet, do all of that to kind of bring more and more people in and let them know that we're providing this content and then following along for the rest of the month and onward.
Are you the administration person for the Chelmsford Social Justice Facebook page? Are you the administrator for that? Do you think it makes sense to merge them, like make it, one, or do you think it's better to keep that separate and have our committee have its own?
I think we should do separate.
Okay.
I mean, we can definitely like utilize the two, but I just don't want to like, I don't know, get complicated.
Right. No, I would agree.
yeah, I can help in setting up some of that stuff. I don't
And
know
I
if
think
there's
this would
any
be a
like,
great opportunity because people might be interested in knowing what we're doing, especially if we have some music and things like that on board. You know, people are typically interested in listening to various types of cultural music. So this might be a way to engage them. And again, I mean, if we can get Castle of Our Skins, I'm gonna tell you, they are phenomenal. And they're a young group. They're like in their, I would say maybe from late 20s to, well, I don't know, 30s or something like that. I know they're much younger than me, but they do a phenomenal job. So I would highly recommend going to the website, and I can send you the link, as well as I will send you the YouTube video of Boston University performing their piece. And I thought it's very nicely done because they're literally social distancing as if they were in quarantine. I mean, you know, as if they were in the pandemic when this happened in 2019, before the pandemic even happened. So I think Margaret has her hand up.
I need to take my hand down. I'm sorry. I forgot.
Yeah. And my daughter might be willing to also perform. So she's a classical trained ballerina. So she might be able to do something as well. And she can pre-record it. Sometimes pre-recorded is better because you don't have to be concerned about having bad connections or if too many people get on, things dropping. So, you know. And that's what I have. That's my thoughts. Those are my ideas. And I think everybody's contribution to the conversation just really lays it out really, even better. And certainly it's not the end all be all. It's just a format and a way to kick the conversation off, starting someplace.
I was going to raise my hand again, but I didn't think you'd call on me because I had my hand raised. You talking about it being pre-recorded just made me think about the potential for us to have our own YouTube channel, if we're going to be utilizing or pre-recorded things, and then we can have them up on YouTube. Just a thought.
Does that cost money?
No,
it doesn't. Oh, okay. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I was just wondering. I've never done. That would be cool.
I'll look into it.
Great.
That's something to add to for people who we're partnering with, if they'd feel comfortable with it being on our YouTube page, or if they want to drive people to their own YouTube sources. I know that there can be some branding and money involved there. I want to be mindful to that.
So I think it's like next steps, because I know we're at 7:30 right now, and I don't want to take up too much of the agenda's time, but I think we have, we've had a conversation about it. So I think, to Trisha's point, the people cultural team may want to put together a date, and we can all come together and just kind of map it out and lay it out after Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, after Christmas and New Year's, we're going to wait till after January. Okay. So are we going to do it before our January 5th meeting? Do you want?
We should, I would imagine. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it offline, I guess.
Yeah.
Before we drop this, can I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think would be sort of a set of themes that we want to be focusing on? Do we want to focus on positive contributions from Black people, or do we want to raise awareness of injustices and stuff like that? Because like one of the things that you as soon as you said science, Charisse, the first thing that jumped to my head is that I'm sitting in our office, which is where all our books are, and out of the corner of my left eye I can see a copy of The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And she was
a good book.
It was an amazing book, and she was she played a huge role in scientific advancement, but it was against her wishes. She didn't have any control over it. So that's both a kind of scientific contribution, but it's also an injustice. So I just wanted to get a sort of idea what kind of theme we wanted to go for. Do we want to go more on the positive side, or do we want to raise awareness? What do you guys feel?
Just the truth. I think it's about the truth. I'm sorry, Jennifer and Latasha had their hands up, so I'll shut up.
Jennifer?
Yep, I just like the idea of a balance. Why can't we have the injustice as well as the really positive stuff?
I like that. I like a balance. The balance is good.
And see, my take would be that, I would like to see us heavier, on the contributions and, some of the work that's been done. It seems to me that, unfortunately, over the last few years, we've been, almost hyper focused on the injustice, the things that have gone on, and people haven't really talked about and focused on the tremendous amount of contributions that African Americans have made to the development of this country. I mean, it's a sad day when we know more about George Floyd than we know about Dr. Charles Drew. I mean, it's a sad day when we don't really kind of understand the role like somebody like Ralph Bunche played in the area of international diplomacy. There's so many people and so many things that have happened where African Americans have had a lot of very positive kinds of contribution, and people don't know anything about them. Now they can tell you who got shot, and and who had their neck stepped on, and how many people got lynched between 18 this and 19 that. And I don't mean to give it I don't mean to give the impression that stuff's not important. It absolutely is, and certainly nobody needs to explain that to me. I got that. I got that. No, there's nobody here can tell me anything about that. All right. What is really important, though, and what I think is missed, is the contributions. What did people do? Who did it? And where did these things continue? If there's so much stuff that's been hidden, buried, whatever, let's bring that stuff up. And I would be happy if we only did all the positive stuff, because there's too much of it and too few of us, white, black, or indifferent, who know anything about it. So where we have an opportunity to push out, some messages, I think, we need to focus on that. So that would be my little soapbox for the day. But I think that's important.
I agree with you, but I think it's important to show the struggle that it took to get there. So it doesn't look like it happened in a bubble, that we didn't have all these great successes and that they came easily. I think it's important to show the injustice that we experienced to get there.
Can we show the injustice through like a general history timeline or whatever conversation? So showing the injustices in some sort of presentation at the beginning of the month, and then the rest of the month is just positivity. I don't know though, because Phil, I really liked what you said. So now I'm like, oh, should I do like a Black History Month that's just all about the positives, rather than focusing on the history that's negative?
Phil, would the story itself of their accomplishments show their struggle for those individuals?
See, I think it would.
Yes.
I think it absolutely does, because none of this happened in a bubble. And anybody that knows just that much about American history knows that none of this happened in a bubble. So I think that's there. I think we can focus. I think we can tell the story about the struggle, and that becomes part of why the accomplishments are so great, because in the face of all of these things, we had people doing tremendous, making tremendous strides. So I think it's part and parcel to the same story. So you can tell that story, talk about the struggle, and if there are issues that still continue, you can say, yeah, they had to deal with this issue, and even today those things continue, but yet and still, we rise. So it's that sort of thing. I think you can do the same thing. I don't think it's an either or conversation, and it doesn't have to be.
Can you join us for that when we set up our meeting for this cultural thing to talk about Black History Month, to have a list of names that you can add into what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Or if you just send it via email, and we can talk about it, if you've got time, that would be helpful.
Yeah,
because I don't know anything.
Well, no, I'm sure you know something, but I may be aware of a few things as well that I'm happy to share with you.
And Martin Luther King Jr. is not an option. That is off the table.
I mean, this is an opportunity to go do some research, and see if you can find somebody that hasn't had a book written about them, that hasn't been on the list of every single Black History Month thing that's already been done by everybody else in the history of whatever. Try to find the most obscure African American contributor you can, because they're out there. They've got to be out there. I mean, Phil, your answer was fabulous, and thank you so much for giving us that perspective.
I just know I have to go look up those people because I don't know. To be honest,
that's how we learn, though, Tricia. That's the whole point of this, is to learn and educate, and that's why it's important that we all do our part. Not just me doing it, but everybody. Or Natasha, it's everybody, and that's how we learn. And as you're looking for one person, too, like in that same, it's and you get so like what? Even myself, I'm like still amazed at some of the people that I learn about. That have been amazing contributors that I didn't even learn about in class.
Committing to do the work right here.
There's a lot out there to be amazed.
Phil, I agree with what you said. I appreciate that. And I think that you may not realize it, but in what you said, there was a balance in what you said. And there are people that this is going to really impact in a positive way, because there actually are people that are in that bubble and don't realize that the achievements that we've made come with struggle. So I really appreciate what you said. Thank you.
This is Lauren. Thank you, Carly. I got the document just now because I couldn't find it before. Sherry,
you're welcome.
I would love to. I'm a theater person, so any playwrights or people that are into the arts, I'm there. Like my son did a play called Hype Man, and it was great. And he did it in LA, and it's a guy named Iris Goodwin wrote it. I think he's from Chicago, and he's a really good playwright, and he's had success with it. And he's Black, and the play is about a Black rapper and a white rapper, and my son played the white rapper. So I love any playwrights or that kind of thing that I can get involved in the calendar. Sherry, I'm on board. You know that. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. I think it's going to be exciting. I think we can do some great things with this.
I wanted to add in an idea for a way to kind of start off with some of this is to get maybe 1 or 2 examples written of 2 people just to start with, to give the rest of us like an idea of tone and length and format. And so that way, as we all go off to do our research and start digging into it, we have a bit, not only a template, but some examples that we can come forward to make sure that we all set the right tone.
Sounds great. That's a good idea.
You sound like tasks on a project plan to me.
I love a good task, Carly.
Idris Goodwin. Playwright.
Who's that assigned to, though?
I think it's assigned to all of us. We all have to write up 2, right?
Right, but was somebody going to do an example? Who was going to do the example? Did I misunderstand?
No, I don't think you misunderstood. No, I heard that too. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jennifer volunteered, and Phil and
Yep.
no, I don't know. I mean,
I'm happy to write up too if you want, or
Yeah.
you want an example,
that
right?
sounds good.
Right, yeah. And then,
Yes.
I'm happy to try to pull together an example for someone,
I'll do two as well. This is Jen.
When you say two, do you mean people that you're focusing on? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do a couple of playwrights or, / actor, period. I love that.
Yeah, that's your
I know.
genre right there.
I've read Raisin in the Sun and Lorraine Hansberry, but there's lots. That is my.
Yeah.
bag.
And if any of you got a chance to see the musical or that my daughter participated in, all those people you mentioned came through the Karamu House. And I'm so mad because I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. And did I realize the importance of what was happening there? No, I was too busy at the club shaking my little bum instead of going to some cultural art things that were like, can you imagine Ruby Dee and some of these James Baldwin? I mean, I did go see plays there, but I don't think I understood the significance of what was happening because they weren't famous at that time. I probably saw a few of them and didn't know any better, But it's a great opportunity. I mean, it's the oldest theater in the country, Black theater in the country.
My son's two friends did a live performance in April, live on Zoom. It was a conversation between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. It is such a powerful play. It was mind-blowing. I should ask them. His two actor friends did it, and oh my gosh, I wish they could do that live. I bet you they would do it on a Zoom thing. It's such a powerful piece. Write that down, Grace. I watched the whole thing, and they did it so well. It was like a fictitious meeting. What's the name of the play? Hold on, I'm going to find out.
Well, it's getting late. It's 7:48, so I don't want
right,
to.
I was about to say that, and we want to make sure that we maintain some time for Jennifer to have her conversation with us as well. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one last thing. Once you pick somebody, email the group so that we don't double up.
The play is called The Meeting, MEETING. It was mind-blowing. Sherry, you got to see it. It's great. If I could get those
I'm
guys.
going to watch it this week.
I don't know if you can find it, but it might be an existing play somewhere else too. But this was a live performance, and if we could ever get them to do that, woof, you'd love it.
Okay.
Can I just add something? A friend of mine during the summer was posting on Facebook for days on days and days on end links to stories about notable Black people who I knew nothing about. I learned so much from her posts that she did for weeks and weeks. And I can go back and just pull some of those links and throw them in an email to people. So it's an easy way to get some research started. I can try to pull that together in the next few days and just share them. I'm not ready to put them on spreadsheets yet, but I can send an email.
that'd be great.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, it being 10 of 8, Phil, do you think we can wrap this conversation up?
Yeah, I'd like to do that, and then we can move to Jennifer. Actually, I don't have the.
Yeah, it's additional questions for Chief Spinney. Jennifer had some suggestions.
Just wanted to review some of the wording, so I'll hand that over to Jennifer.
Actually, it wasn't additional questions. It was just revisions to 2 of the questions, and I don't have them in front of me, but I know that one of them had to do with how disturbances with youth under 18 are handled. And anyone can correct me if I'm wrong. I just felt that it's important we ask the honest and mutually respectful questions about diversity, racial equity, and inclusion, and that those in that community are included in those questions. So what I'm saying is I think we should specifically ask about BIPOC youth. And I would love to hear how you guys feel about that.
I agree with you.
How is the
Right.
question right now
Right.
asked? I don't have it in front of me either.
I have it. Give me just one moment to read it to you guys. It says, oh boy.
It's number 8. Is this the one for our youth? How does Chelmsford PD handle disturbances when the person is under the age of 18 years old? That's the
Correct.
question you're talking about, right? So it's number
Yes.
8 on our list. Jennifer, how would you reword that? So did you want to specify for our youth and then specifically BIPOC right there? Or?
I don't it really doesn't matter to me. What matters is that the BIPOC community is included because we are the Diversity, Racial Equity and Inclusion Committee. And I think that would be a good space to include the BIPOC community. The other thing I was thinking about, I'm not sure how I feel about this or how others on the committee would feel, would be to also include the LGBTQ plus community in that question as well. I'm not sure on that one, but I know that given the culture that we're currently experiencing and historical what's been going on in our country, we definitely should include BIPOC children, BIPOC youth.
So does it make sense if we say, I mean, again, for our youth, specifically the BIPOC community youth and LGBTQ plus community youth, how does Chelmsford Police Department handle disturbances when the person is under age of 18? Does that make sense? I mean, does that call it out enough for you? Or, I mean, how does anybody feel about that?
I'm not sure about the wording on that. I don't know how anybody else feels about it.
I don't know. I'm struggling with disturbances. I don't know what, like.
Yeah. That's just the way it's worded right now. So, and I don't really like the fact that it starts off with for our youth. I mean, it's almost like, somebody just needs to be very specific with what that question is. I mean, so I'm not sure how to word it.
I'm not either. I just knew that we needed to include those two communities.
Okay, this is Natasha. So when I originally wrote this question, it was shortly after a 13-year-old boy in the Boston area was pinned to the ground by the police because he was carrying a BB gun on school grounds. And he repeatedly said, "I'm 13 years old. It's not a real gun. I'm 13 years old." And he was still pinned to the ground. So that's where the thought of, for our youth, how are they treated? But I'm open to whatever the committee says about the BIPOC or the LGBT plus community, and or rewording the sentence or the question.
No, I think with that preference that you just gave, Latasha, that understanding, because I even think about Tamir Rice in Cleveland, Ohio, who was playing on the playground, and he had a BB gun, or so not a BB gun, but a play toy gun, and they shot and killed him. And so I get that. So I think now that you said it in that way, it made me understand better about the question. And I think that's going to be important to kind of preference it in that way, to give some context and understanding to why the question is what it is.
I agree. I agree with the youth piece of it, and now I do understand why that youth piece was included in there, and it makes total sense. I just think that we should absolutely, definitely use that BIPOC question as well. We should. I think it should be part of the question.
What if we ask the question? I'm just, while we're, kind of spitballing here, trying to figure out a way to come up with the wording. What if we ask the question, how are those disturbances handled? Question it's a two-part question. That would be the first question. For youth who are BIPOC, and or LGBTQ plus individuals, are those handled differently? I understand it's kind of leading, but essentially we're getting at the same thing. We're trying to understand, how do you deal with these issues when you're dealing with a different population of people? So, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's too leading, but I'm trying to come up with some way that keeps that allows us to include those, include those groups and address, Jennifer's concern.
Mm.
I have some suggestions on the wording of the question because I also like disturbances is very specific and negative. I just thought, how do police approach interactions with BIPOC youth? Right?
Yeah.
It's not always going to be for a bad reason, right? But how do they? I think.
I agree. I like that.
Do you
And
want to put
I
in
think it's-
and LGBTQ in there or not? I mean, it seems like it's two different
You're
issues.
going to get the same answer no matter what
I agree.
demographic you
I
put
agree.
under the age of 18.
And I would want to know if there has been any, because maybe they haven't even experienced that. And so maybe a question would be, I don't know, is this something that, no, we don't want to bring something, make something. I like the way it was, what you
And
just said.
honestly, can I suggest that rather than right away saying BIPOC, can you specify exactly what that is? Because there are a lot of
Yeah.
people in the community that don't know what that is.
I agree.
Okay, that would be
I
helpful.
agree. How would we do that? Would we just, it's an acronym, will we just spell it out? How do
You
you do
just
that?
say the words and then say also known as BIPOC. I mean, that way it's out there and we've educated it at that point. I mean, so
That makes sense.
Black, yeah, just say interactions with Black, Indigenous, people of color, and youth. Well, again, youth of color. So you're talking about specifically youth. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I like the word interactions as opposed to disturbances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. So by Black, Indigenous, people of color, specifically youth under the age of 18. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. So Latasha, are you writing up those questions for Chief Spinney in a list form? Because he's going to have his own presentation and he's going to do his presentation first, he said. So once we give him the questions, he's going to do a presentation. His presentation is going to answer a lot of these questions. And then he said there'll be a chance for additional questions after. Okay.
Fantastic. I will make edits to it, put it in a list format and share it with him this week.
That would be great. Thank you.
Are there any other edits that people wish to make?
Did you have another one, Jennifer?
I did, but I'm kind of on the fence about it now because it's another thing that's very specific and I'm not sure like how it's going to be received. It was the question about POC, how many POC they have. And in my experience, there's a difference between passing POC and non-passing POC. I'm sure we're all very familiar with that. So if you ask the question, do you have any POC? And I don't remember what the specific question was. A lot of times, and I'm not sure how to word this, a lot of times passing POC, and I say this as a mixed race woman with 4 mixed race children, a lot of times passing POC are given more opportunity. So I don't know if we worded the question, how many non-passing POC members do you have on the CPD? I'm just not sure about that one as well. That's just another one that stuck out to me, but I don't know I'd be interested to know what the committee thinks.
I think we're splitting hairs there, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, I'm
Okay,
of
you may
mixed
be right.
race
I
and
wasn't sure.
yeah, I don't, yeah, I think we probably split hairs with that one.
Okay.
Okay. That was question 14, so we're going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, the only reason why I mentioned it is because representation matters. That was the thing that just kept sticking in my head, is that representation matters. So that was the reason why I brought it up, but I see your side of it, how it could be perceived as splitting hairs.
Okay.
Jennifer, is it another way to word that? Maybe the question of something along the lines of like, how have you thought or looked at increasing representation in this area, like for Black youth when dealing with the Chelmsford Police Department, and kind of just flipping that on its head and asking the question about how they feel about representation and what they've done in that area?
I like that. I don't know how the other members of the committee feel, but I do, but not just for Black people, but also representation of Latinos, everything.
I think that gets more to the heart of the matter than the way I originally worded the question. So I'm all for rewriting it as asking what their commitment to diversity on their staff is.
I like that too.
And again, this is diversity, so it's not just people of color, it's LGBTQ. Got to include that as well.
I agree.
So are there any more questions or concerns around this part of the discussion? We all set? I think there was one other agenda item, and I believe that was the logo tagline piece. And I don't know if Trish, you wanted to give an update, or Lauren.
I'm gonna let Lauren give an update.
Trish, I think you probably have them, right? The three of them?
Yeah, I have the three of them. We basically,
Yeah,
Lauren,
you do.
well, I mean, I'm not gonna show them at this point because I don't think any of them are ready to show.
Okay.
Basically Lauren gave, was it like six possible taglines, and to your friend, the graphic arts teacher, I'm not sure. See, this is the part I don't know.
Oh, Miss Alves, Madeline Alves. Yeah.
Yeah. So Latasha and I had come up with a list, and the group came up with a few more, and we added them and sent them off. She had 3 students submit some possible ideas to consider. Lauren and I both kind of had go back to the drawing board on a few things. And I don't know that we're close yet on anything.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So we're still kind of looking at some things and trying to make some decisions around it. Yeah, that's fair.
There's a couple that have possibilities, but we sort of are going about, like one sent one today, and it was too much like of the school lion's paw, like they got it in the head wrong. But if they changed it up a little bit, some of them have possibilities. So I think we're still in a work in progress if we want to use the high school or try to get even other artists maybe to open it up a little more. Tricia, what did you think? I thought they had possibilities with change.
The second one that had possibilities, and I don't know if they considered all of the different taglines. It seems like they picked their favorites and went with it. But
yeah,
I mean, there's some other images that I think are really important to get across. I mean, the message is positivity, unifying, really bringing people together. That's what we're trying to go for, and not divisiveness at all. So, one of the students really came up with something that was kind of, she used the fusion through inclusion tagline, and it was a wheel of skin tones, and inside had the rainbow. We asked her to add more rainbow colors to represent the LGBTQ. It lacked a little humanness to it, though. So, that connectivity of really what, they were just kind of a color wheel. Somebody had said it looked like an old Polaroid logo. So things like that. But I loved like this image. So, it's like the hands kind of coming together with the heart kind of a thing.
Right.
This is probably somebody else's work, but
I was surprised it took the human feel out of it. So I think they have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So I mean, so having that human connection, I think, is where we need a little bit more work.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Tricia. I was a little saddened, but we'll keep working.
They're just tossing out ideas. It's going to take us a little while. We're not looking to do anything really with it yet.
Right.
Specifically, we had talked about a few ideas, but it's nothing earth shattering at this point. It was just a way to get people's attention. And if we had a message we wanted to spread and build momentum, that what that image would be like. So we've got plenty of time to work on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update. Let's see, looking at the time here, I think we're at 8:06. So what I would like to propose is that actually, before I go there, I do need to mention that we, our next meeting, which is, I believe, the first. What's that? The 4th?
I think it's the 5th, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't have my calendar either, so I apologize for that. Yeah, the 5th of January. So that would be our next meeting. So we're taking our little holiday break for next week. And I'm trying to see, was it? So yeah, I think that's our next meeting. There's something, I feel like I missed something I was supposed to mention at this
You didn't
point.
talk about the presentation to the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I actually was contacted today to do a presentation to the Board of Selectmen on actually January the 4th. And certainly that doesn't give us any time to prepare to review anything. So I'll be following up to let them know that that won't be possible and that we'll be looking to participate on January the 25th, which was already in the works. So I think we're going to move forward with that. And
correction.
Hmm?
Phil, sorry, one small correction.
Yes.
It's the select board, not Board of Selectmen.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. You're correct. Absolutely.
I can't get used to that either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else I've forgotten?
And the committee, the culture committee, we're going to talk outside as far as getting our meeting together, right? And
yeah, if you guys can toss out any day, I'm very flexible. I don't have a lot of busy family plans, so you guys let me know sometime before the 4th of January, though, would be great. Okay.
Also, Susan, Susan might want to share. The education committee met, and
That's where my hands up. Yep.
oh yeah, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah. So Lauren, Margaret, and I met. We had a mini Zoom meeting. We came up with a lot of topics and questions we'd like to ask, and I've contacted the Assistant Superintendent, Linda Hirsch, about having a conversation, just a conversation. And we've emailed back and forth a bit, and it looks like we're probably going to do it on January 12th, prior to our meeting that our committee is likely to have on the 12th. And so we've prepared some questions that I'm going to, send to her, and hopefully it will be a comfortable, casual conversation, but we can get a lot of information and then find out how we can support them in the future. So we've actually made some good headway.
Great, thanks for the quick update.
For the next agenda, Phil, you might want to add report out or something, or subcommittee reports, so that if there are opportunities for people to give updates, they can do that under that agenda item.
And okay, that sounds good. And I think we'll also add our Black History Month planning continuation of that conversation as well. Yeah.
All right.
All right. If that's all, then I would like to propose that the December 22nd meeting of the Diversity, Racial Equity, and Inclusion Committee be adjourned.
Motion to adjourn. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Happy holidays to all.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye,
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Bye.
Happy
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.